Hello guys, today we'll talk together about grain stability booklet and we will browse that book page by page to know exactly what that book has. Here, contents page have 4 chapters. Chapter number 1, general information. Chapter number 2, talking about grain loading with its trend. Chapter number 3, talking about grain loading with its load trend. Chapter number 4, talking about data for grain stability calculations. Let's browse these chapters and see what it has. Chapter number 1, general information. This chapter talking about IMO requirement for loading grain cargo and the conditions which we must meet it. Here, ships particular for that ship. Here, general arrangement plan. Now, let's see chapter number 2, what that chapter has. We will see in that chapter the procedures which we should follow during calculate grain stability. So they make here the calculation step by step. They started with transverse healing moment calculation. We'll see later this calculation step by step, but here only now we're browsing that book. Here, section number 2, vertical center of gravity correction. This correction is very important and we should read exactly what our grain stability booklet said regarding it. We have here two conditions. First condition for filled compartment. We don't need to apply any correction for filled compartments. They mentioned here it is not necessary. But for partially filled compartment, we should multiply 1.12 to transverse healing moment value to get the corrections. But why we need to apply that correction and we need to do it? If we check filled compartment, we'll find the value of center of gravity for full cargo load. That means no more value for this condition. But for partial filled compartment, we get the value for center of gravity only for the volume for the cargo which be loaded to that cargo hold. But now, if this cargo shifting from side to side upward, what will happen to the center of gravity? Also, the center of gravity will moving upward. That's why we need to apply correction for partially filled compartment. That's all what we need to know regarding that correction. Here, number 3, GM. What they said about it? In calculating GM, it is necessary to take decrease of GM due to free surface effect of liquids in tanks into account. That means they ask us to apply a free surface effect in our calculation of GM. Here, statical stability curve. Here, and corrected and actual GZ, and from these values will draw our curve. And here how to make these corrections. By the way, we will see all this later, but now I make general browsing for that book. Here, healing angle and how to calculate healing angle. From that graph, we'll find hearing angle value 7.1 degrees. This is section number 6, residual stability area. On that section, there are very important notes about flooding angle. Let's read what they said about it. It is not necessary to take flooding angle into account in calculating residual stability area, since actual flooding angle always exceeds 40 degrees at all conditions. This means we don't need to calculate flooding angle and compare it with 40 degrees because it is usually exceeds 40 degrees. So it is very important to understand every word mentioned on that book to save our time during calculation. And section number 7 talking about allowable healing moment. So in that section we will see how we can obtain allowable healing moment. They said we can obtain it from allowable healing moment table which given in section 6-1 based on displacement and corrected metacentric height. We'll see also later how we can get it. And here, this is comparison between actual healing moment and allowable healing moment. So we must make this judgment to see our condition. Now, this table is a very important table. We must check it carefully. This is called summary table for transverse volumetric healing moment at filled compartment with its strength. If we check here, we'll find 7 cargo holds. Each cargo hold has his transverse healing moment on that condition. Cargo hold number 1, transverse volumetric healing moment will be 1596. Cargo hold number 2, 1731, and all same. So you can check your hatches, each hatch one by one, depend on your condition. Here, summary table for grain loading condition, etc. This is conditions solved on the book, so you can check these conditions one by one and solve it by yourself. Then compare your results with book results to see you are moving in correct way or you have any mistake should to correct it. So you have 5-6 conditions solved by book, and this is a drawing, and this is the conditions. And in the future we'll browse and we'll see how we can solve one condition together. All these conditions. Chapter number 3. Grain loading with ends not retrieved. This is the condition number 2 which we have on our grain stability booklet. On that chapter, we will find calculation method for grain stability. This method will be same procedure for previous condition. Here, step number 1, transverse healing moment calculation. Everything is same, but we'll see together what is the major difference between both conditions. If we look here, we'll find vertical center of gravity correction Also, same information for field compartment. We don't need to apply any correction. For partial field compartment, we should multiply transverse healing moment by 1.12 to get the correction. Here GM calculation, here healing angle, everything is same. Here healing angle, if we find, we'll see it will be 8.2 degrees. Here it is more bigger than previous condition. Residual stability area calculation and allowable healing moment comparison. Here that table, on that table we have the major difference between this condition and previous condition. The value of transverse volumetric healing moment. If we check here cargo holes, we'll find cargo hole 2, cargo hole number 1, 2, 4, 2, 4. That mean value is more bigger than previous condition. So it is very important to know during our calculation that we are using the correct table to get the correct value for volumetric healing moment. This is the major difference, this table. Let's move here also conditions, and this is also condition which solve it by the book. You can solve it and make comparison between your calculation and book figures. This is chapter number 4, data for grain stability calculation. On that chapter, we'll find section number 1, table of allowable healing moment by ship's displacement and kg. We can find the allowable healing moment value. This is corrected to kg. Summary table of tank and hold capacity tables here. Now, this is tank capacity curves. This curve and these curves is very important for us. From that curves, we will get the value of kg and free surface moment and volume. By the way, we can get all these figures. For each tank, we'll find curve. So this is curves for all our ship's tanks. Here. Section number 3, volumetric healing moment curves. This is curves, very important curves. This is for condition number 3, which we have partially filled compartment. By the volume, we will go through that curve and get volumetric healing moment. And we will see in next lectures how we can do that. But we don't need to forget to apply the correction here. So we should multiply the value of volumetric healing moment, which we will get from the curve, by 1.12. So now we have 7 curves for each cargo hold, 1 curve. Decrease of GM due to free surface effect. Here's a formula for loss of GM due to free surface effect. It's equal free surface moment times free specific gravity over displacement of the ship. Here, last section, we have in our grain stability booklet, writing lever using table. Also, here by displacement, we can get the value of GZ. Here we have climb angles from 5 degrees up to 30 degrees. Downside, we will find the values from 35 degrees up to 90 degrees. And after apply the correction, we will get the corrected GZ. Yes, here from 35 degrees up to 90 degrees. Who doesn't have anything more we need to know in the book? That's all. And next lecture we'll see how we will use all this data in our calculation. See you in next lecture. Thank you for watching.